The plan is already in motion by the time anyone thinks to look for it. It doesn't introduce itself. It doesn't ask to be confirmed. It is there, carrying the day forward before the day has fully started. Morning arrives with familiar weight. The same sequence unfolds without resistance. There is no pause to consider alternatives. The body follows a route learned long ago. The plan doesn't need attention to function. It operates in the background, steady and unremarkable. It wasn't always invisible. There was a point when it required focus, when someone had to decide where to begin, what to prioritize, what could wait. Those moments were quiet but deliberate. The plan took shape gradually, shaped by circumstances that felt specific and immediate at the time. Those circumstances have thinned out now. They belong to another version of the present. The plan remains, though, intact enough to continue. It doesn't reference its origin. It doesn't compare past and present. It simply proceeds. Each step taken today rests on a step taken yesterday. The connection feels natural, inevitable. Breaking it would require noticing it first. That noticing never quite arrives. There are signals, but they are subtle. A sense of repetition, a familiar outcome arriving too predictably. These signals pass through awareness without settling. They register as texture, not information. Language adapts around the plan. What was once explained is now assumed. Instructions shorten. Expectations are implied. The fewer words used, the less visible the structure becomes. The plan benefits from this economy. Fewer explanations mean fewer interruptions. Fewer interruptions mean more continuity. Continuity becomes the measure of success. Others align with it instinctively. They learn where to place their effort by observing what is rewarded and what is ignored. No one needs to say what matters. The plan makes it clear through repetition. Time moves efficiently inside this arrangement. Tasks follow tasks. Outcomes follow expectations. The day fills itself. There is little space left over. Occasionally, something presses against the edges. A result doesn't land as cleanly. A process feels heavier than it used to. These moments are acknowledged briefly. Adjustments are made at the surface. The core remains untouched. The plan is tolerant of small corrections. It absorbs them without changing direction. This adaptability gives the impression of responsiveness. It feels alive, even as it stays the same. There is comfort in knowing what will happen next. The plan provides that. It reduces friction. It removes the need for constant evaluation. It keeps uncertainty at a manageable distance. That distance grows. The days begin to stack rather than separate. Memory loses its markers. When looking back, it's hard to identify where one week ends and another begins. They blur into a continuous stretch of familiar motion. The plan was never named as permanent. It didn't need to be. Permanence emerged quietly, through use, through the absence of disruption, through the simple fact that it kept working well enough. When questions arise, they are answered quickly. The responses are efficient and reassuring. This is how it's done. This is what makes sense. The words arrive automatically, practiced through repetition. Over time, even these responses become unnecessary. The questions stop forming. The plan no longer needs to justify itself. It becomes part of the environment, like the temperature of a room that no one adjusts anymore. You notice it only when it changes. External shifts continue to happen. New tools appear, new pressures build, different expectations circulate elsewhere. The plan acknowledges these shifts selectively. It integrates what it can without altering its foundation. This selective attention creates a steady rhythm, enough change to feel current, enough stability to feel safe. The balance holds. There is a quiet efficiency in this balance. It keeps everything moving. It prevents stagnation, or at least the appearance of it. Activity continues. Progress is recorded. What that progress points toward is less certain. Metrics still exist. They still produce results. The numbers still change. They are compared against previous numbers, all generated within the same framework. Improvement is measured internally without reference to anything outside the plan. This creates a closed loop, self-sustaining, self-reinforcing. The plan doesn't require belief. Participation is enough. Even doubt can exist within it, as long as behavior remains aligned. The system carries everyone forward regardless of individual conviction. Moments of dissatisfaction surface from time to time. They attach themselves to details, workload, timing, communication. The structure underneath remains unnamed, untouched. It's easier to adjust the details than to question the shape holding them together. Adjustments feel productive. They create motion without uncertainty. Questioning the shape would slow things down. The plan prioritizes motion. There are memories of when the plan felt temporary, when it was spoken about as a phase, a step, a solution for now. Those memories feel distant, slightly out of sync with the present. Now, the present feels stabilized, not finished, but balanced. The plan has found its groove. It absorbs friction and returns to form. There is no single moment when noticing fades. It happens gradually, through familiarity, through the comfort of knowing what to expect, through the relief of not having to decide again. Attention shifts to execution, to efficiency, to maintaining momentum. The plan recedes further into the background. Even when things feel misaligned, the sensation doesn't point back to the plan. It appears as fatigue, as distraction, as a sense of being slightly off schedule. The response is to work harder within the same boundaries. The boundaries themselves are no longer visible. From inside the plan, everything feels neutral, practical, reasonable. From outside, it might look rigid, or cautious, or stalled. The difference depends on perspective. The plan was built for conditions that existed once. Those conditions have shifted incrementally, not enough to force a reckoning, enough to introduce quiet tension. The tension doesn't announce itself. It hums beneath the surface, steady and low, easy to ignore. Maintenance becomes the primary activity, keeping things aligned, preventing disruption, ensuring continuity. These efforts feel responsible, necessary. Maintenance does not ask why the structure exists. It only asks how to keep it standing. There is a rhythm to this work, a repetition that fills time without drawing attention to itself. Days pass smoothly, weeks complete themselves. The future appears as an extension of the present, not imagined, just extended. The plan makes tomorrow legible by repeating today. This legibility is reassuring. It removes the need to imagine alternatives. It narrows the field of possibility without naming what's missing. urgency elsewhere reinforces this narrowing. When time feels scarce, there is little room to question foundations. Decisions are made quickly, always within the same frame. The frame becomes invisible through use. Occasionally, someone new arrives. They notice the shape immediately. They ask questions that sound unfamiliar. Why this sequence? Why these priorities? Why now? The answers come easily, delivered with calm certainty. The questions soften, then disappear. The newcomer adapts, learning the plan through repetition rather than explanation. This is how the plan spreads, not through instruction, but through exposure, through what is reinforced, through what goes unremarked. At some point, it becomes difficult to say whether the plan is being followed deliberately or whether it is simply happening. The distinction feels less important than it once did. The plan outlives its original context. It outlives the reasons that brought it into being. It becomes a shared assumption carried forward without ceremony. There are no alarms to mark this transition, no signal that something has been lost or gained, just a gradual quieting of alternatives. From within the plan, everything feels normal. Normality does not demand attention. It doesn't provoke response. The plan continues, not because it is actively chosen each day, but because it has not been interrupted. It fills the space where choice used to appear. And so it stays, not as a declaration, not as a commitment, just as the way things move, day after day, maintained without noticing when it stopped being a plan at all.